Inside a cluttered workshop, a rotating machine is running when loose contact turns motion into an uncontrollable force in seconds. Never, ever work close to rotating machinery unless all moving parts are guarded and loose contact hazards are fully controlled. Inside a guarded industrial press cell, a worker moves beneath the machine's frame, entering a space the system still considers active. Never, ever enter the space beneath a press or suspended tooling unless all energy sources are fully isolated, locked out, and mechanically secured. In a narrow street, workers maneuver long metal poles when one lifts upward toward overhead electrical lines, turning a routine task into an instant electrical hazard. Never, ever carry, lift, or tilt long conductive materials near overhead power lines without verified clearance and control. Power lines don't forgive distance mistakes. Control material height, maintain clearance, and treat every overhead line as live. If metal can reach it, the hazard already exists. At a site entrance, a worker walks alongside a work truck when the vehicle suddenly turns and its sweep zone shifts outward. Never, ever walk beside a vehicle's front corner during turning. Blind spots and steering geometry eliminate visibility instantly. Blind spots move when trucks turn. Maintain distance, stay out of sweep zones, and never assume a driver can see what the mirrors cannot. Inside an excavated pit, loose soil walls stand unsupported until the ground suddenly gives way and the space fills in seconds. Never, ever enter an excavation unless the walls are properly sloped, shored, or shielded to prevent collapse. Excavated soil relies only on friction for stability, and without support, gravity can cause an instant inward wall failure once weakened. Excavations don't fail slowly. Support the walls, control the soil, and never trust bare earth. If the ground is open, protection must already be in place. Inside an industrial loading bay, a large sheet is already rigged and under tension when one anchor point unexpectedly releases. Never, ever stand or walk within the swing radius of a suspended load, especially when rigging is incomplete or unbalanced. When one side of a pre-tension sheet slips free, stored energy converts into rapid lateral motion as the remaining attachment point becomes a pivot. Rigging isn't safe until it's fully secure. Treat every suspended or partially supported load as unstable. Set exclusion zones, stay clear of swing paths, and never assume a load will stay where you left it. On an elevated floor, a worker steps onto a metal piece. Unaware, it extends past the edge and isn't supported underneath. Never, ever step onto materials near an edge unless they are fully supported, secured, and verified as part of the working surface. Unsecured metal overhanging an edge acts as a lever that rotates downward under load, shifting weight beyond the supported surface. Edges multiply mistakes. Verify support, secure materials, and never trust loose surfaces at height. If it can pivot, stability is already compromised. During roadside unloading, a front loader raises a bucket of stone blocks when one block suddenly rolls free from height and drops straight down into the operating zone below. Never, ever raise unsecured materials in a loader bucket above an occupied operator station or any position where falling material has a direct vertical path. Loose stones in an open loader bucket are held only by friction, allowing a single block to roll free and drop vertically under gravity as a containment failure. Buckets are not containment systems. Loose material must never be lifted over occupied positions. If gravity has a straight path down, the hazard is already active. In a busy loading street, a forklift advances with its forks extended, just as a small vehicle passes directly in front. Never, ever operate a forklift in shared traffic areas without clear separation, controlled fork height, and right-of-way management. Exposed forklift forks act as rigid levers that instantly transfer momentum to lighter vehicles during movement in shared traffic areas. Forks don't flex. Separate pedestrians and vehicles keep forks low and control traffic flow. In shared spaces, visibility and distance prevent instant hazards. On an automated production line, a worker steps into an active conveyor zone where system motion continues without interruption. Never, ever enter an automated machine zone while equipment is energized, moving, or capable of automatic restart. An automated conveyor system moves with fixed paths and momentum regardless of human presence, leaving no reaction time for anyone entering the operating zone. Automation does not pause for people. If the machine can move, the zone must be clear. Lock out, isolate, and never step into live equipment paths. Inside a workshop yard, a truck cab is raised for maintenance until a support loses integrity and the cab moves downward without warning. Never, ever work beneath a raised cab or heavy hinged structure unless it is mechanically locked, independently supported, and verified secure. Raised truck cabs are held up by hydraulics meant for positioning, not permanent support. If pressure or support fails, gravity pulls the cab straight down along its hinge with no warning or reaction time. The hazard comes from relying on hydraulics instead of mechanical locks or secondary supports. Hydraulics lift, but locks protect. Never trust pressure alone to hold mass overhead. If gravity has a path down, the hazard is already active. During grinding work in a narrow passage, flying sparks ignite surrounding material and conditions escalate in seconds. Never, ever perform grinding or cutting work near combustible materials without clearing the area and controlling sparks. Grinding wheels eject hot metal sparks that can travel several meters and ignite nearby debris. In confined spaces, sparks scatter unpredictably. Once ignition occurs, heat spreads immediately, turning brief contact into rapid fire. Sparks are ignition sources. Clear combustibles, shield the work zone, and control hot work every time. If sparks can reach it, fire can start there. A forklift begins reversing out of a truck bed when the truck suddenly moves and the loading gap opens instantly. Never, ever load or unload a truck unless the vehicle is fully immobilized, secured, and confirmed stationary. During loading, the forklift relies on the truck bed as a stable platform. When the truck shifts even slightly, the support surface disappears. Gravity immediately pulls the forklift toward the open gap. The forklift's weight and rearward motion rapidly increase instability, while the narrow loading interface offers no margin for correction. Once the truck moves, the forklift's center of gravity shifts beyond the supported surface, and control is lost. Trucks must not move during loading, ever. Use wheel chocks, brakes, and lockout procedures every time. If the platform moves, gravity takes control instantly. While the workers count and organize the stacked panels, the load stands unsupported by any mechanical restraint, relying only on position and balance from the very start. Never rely on human strength to support stacked materials. Gravity will always exceed what the body can resist. The panel stack is tall and heavy, with its center of gravity near instability. With no mechanical support in place, the system has no engineered restraint. As the load shifts, forces quickly exceed friction. Once rotation begins, gravity accelerates the stack as a single mass. The problem wasn't reaction time, it was design. When stacked materials rely on positioning instead of engineered support, failure is only a matter of time. On an active construction site, workers stand on narrow scaffolding when unstable bricks suddenly give way, and panic takes over. Never, ever work on elevated platforms without secured materials, stable footing, and a controlled drop zone below. Loose bricks stacked near an edge rely only on friction and balance. When one shifts, gravity pulls the remaining material downward, creating a rapid cascade. Elevated platforms also amplify instability because there is no margin for recovery once balance is disrupted. Secure materials before elevation, control edges, protect footing, and eliminate instability before work begins. At an operating machine, a worker inserts a metal rod into the process. When the mechanism suddenly grips and draws the material inward. Never, ever feed material into a running machine by hand unless proper tools, guards, and isolation measures are in place. The machine is designed to grab and draw material inward using rotating components. When the rod is inserted, friction transfers motion from the machine to the object. If the rod shifts, binds, or angles unexpectedly, the pulling force follows the path of least resistance. Once contact is made, the machine's drive continues applying inward force without interruption. Machines don't sense intent, only contact. Use feeding tools, guards, and isolation. If a system is designed to draw material inward, contact alone is enough to activate the hazard. Inside a busy factory, routine work continues until a single misstep near an elevated area turns gravity into an immediate threat. Never rely on balance, footing, or routine when working at height. Unprotected edges and elevated platforms demand physical barriers, controlled access, and fall protection every time. Elevated work areas store gravitational potential energy the moment a person steps above ground. Level. The floor provides stability only while the worker's center of mass remains fully supported. When footing shifts, traction is lost, or an edge is misjudged, the center of mass moves past the support boundary. This was not a sudden failure, it was exposure. In elevated environments, protection must be built into the space, not trusted to awareness or experience. Gravity never gives a second chance. On an active job site, a massive crane assembly is partially lifted and suspended, its weight hanging over the work zone. Never, ever rely on unstable lifting geometry or incomplete ground support when people are inside the load's fall or swing zone. The crane's upper structure is elevated, while its center of mass is no longer directly supported by a stable base. As lifting forces shift, gravity continuously pulls the load toward its lowest possible position. Any imbalance, uneven ground pressure, slight rotation, or loss of support causes the entire mass to rotate around its weakest support point. This incident isn't about bad timing, it's about physics. Heavy equipment must be fully supported, stabilized, and isolated before anyone enters the danger zone, because gravity allows no margin for error. Never position. During a forklift operation, a suspended load is being lowered when the forks suddenly descend, and gravity accelerates the motion. Never, ever stand or position yourself beneath forklift forks or suspended load during lifting or lowering operations. Forklift forks and mast systems move vertically under hydraulic control. When a load is lowered, gravity assists the downward motion, and even small control inputs can result in rapid descent. If a person is standing beneath the forks, there is no buffer zone or reaction time. The mass of the forks and load follows a straight vertical path, with force transmitted directly through the drop zone below. The hazard exists whenever powered lifting equipment has an active vertical drop path without a cleared exclusion zone. Forks move fast, gravity moves faster. Clear the drop zone every time. If a load is overhead, the sign "space below" must remain empty. Inside an active factory floor, an industrial robot suddenly rotates, and its arm sweeps into an unprotected work zone. Never, ever enter or remain inside a robot's active swing radius unless the system is fully locked out, isolated, and verified motionless. Industrial robot arms store energy and move on program paths, even when they appear idle. When a cycle resumes or resets, rotation begins instantly. Anything inside that radius becomes part of the motion path. Robots do not see people. They only follow motion paths. Guard the swing radius, enforce lockout, and treat every powered arm as active, because physics never pauses for proximity. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.